Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for your patience. We will call to order the April meeting of the Binghamton Traffic Board. It's April 14th, 2022. The first item of business is approval of the minutes from the March 10th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion? Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone on the line today that's here for comment? We'll start off with you if there is.
Katie Stadmiller is here on the line. I'm just calling to listen in about the Livingston Street item on the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Katie.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll move on to the traffic board determinations. First item on our list is the street plan review for State Street. This is part of the Deco District. Construction crews are expected to start mobilizing there next week, with construction expected to start the following week. My understanding it's factory construction. They're in contact with the business owners over there, and we'll just hold this for further input once that project gets underway.
Okay, is this just the stuff that we already discussed? Is this additional stuff that's come up in the meantime?
Nope, I think this is just the whole, this is what's been on there.
Okay.
Just keeping it on the agenda as that project gets started. And then next up is we have the West End Armory on my agenda. Did you want to talk about that, Dan?
Yeah, at the last meeting, we're presenting with the new facility over there in Weston Ave, and we thought we were going to get some feedback from the veterans facility or whoever designing the thing about the driveway entrance coming off from the back street there.
Am I looking at an old agenda, or do you guys have? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
And I'm okay. Do you guys have West End on your agenda?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, the Western Army, I'm sorry.
That
was
can,
going by my agenda.
we had an internal meeting this week, and there really is no progress on that. We were waiting for the Western Armory to get back to us on some recommendations from the traffic division. And we haven't heard from them. So.
Yeah, in fact, that was part of the minutes from last month that we included in there that that was going to be removed. So that should have been removed from the agenda
Okay.
already.
And we can go ahead now to 530 State Street. The one update I have on that, Dan, is I heard from Scott Masson yesterday after we met. He asked for this to be removed both from the traffic board agenda and planning commission agenda. So this is another one that I know we were waiting for more information from them, but we can remove that for the time being too.
Okay, so just put it on hold or remove it.
We'll remove it until he asks for it to be put back on again.
Okay.
Okay, the next one here is Conklin Avenue and Telegraph Street. I believe that one we were looking to remove too. And then Tompkins Street and Webster Street, removal of traffic signals at intersections. If you want to just give us an overview of that, Dan.
Yeah. Conklin Ave and Telegraph Street. What we did there is we did remove that because we had this discussions on that already. And we felt that location as is appropriate with the traffic light being remaining there, and so that it should not be removed, and that the continue watching over the years, and if there's a need to make a change, then at that time make a change. So that street should be removed from the agenda.
And then how about Tompkins Street and Webster Street?
Conklin Street and Webster Street. Cindy and I have been reviewing that, and right now our feeling is that it remain for a couple of reasons. Number one, the volume of traffic traveling through there is sufficient to handle the traffic light. The number of pedestrians passing through that intersection is not that heavy. That question.
The pedestrians is one of the reasons we decided to leave that one before, was because there used to be a signal at Tompkins and Jackson and Tompkins and Webster. Tompkins and Jackson got removed, but Tompkins and Webster, it's like the only signalized intersection along that whole stretch of Tompkins Street. So there is a decent amount of traffic coming off of Webster, but also we felt before that one should stay for the pedestrian access. Pretty wide street.
Yeah, and the type of accidents happen there, they're actually for the last 3 years, we pulled the accident report and there has been no accidents at the intersection related to the intersection. So based on that, we find no reason to remove the traffic light.
Okay. We
And
haven't,
that signal, I think, goes on off peak flash also in the evening, so that traffic moves fairly smoothly through there.
do we have any discussion or questions from the board on this? Okay. So those two traffic signals will remain in place. I don't believe any action is required at this time. The next on the agenda is Livingston Street near St. John's School. The traffic division, well, this review came in at the request of a resident. There are speeding concerns in the area and the traffic division went out. They've been out multiple times is my understanding, but they went out again just recently to take a look. Dan, if you can just update us on traffic division's findings and recommendations there.
Yeah, this was reviewed a couple times and back in December 12th, 2017, the traffic division at that time recommended that the request to convert Livingston Street to a one-way street be denied. Was based on the fact the number of accidents at that street, the width of the street, the volume of traffic that uses the street, and it just didn't seem to warrant making it a one-way street. You have all the people exiting the church from the parking lot in the rear of the church using that street to go one way. The residents on the street would be required to go one way, and it would be forcing everybody to go down to Conklin Ave, which is a heavily traveled street, and forcing additional traffic on the Conklin Ave instead of sharing it between both Vestal Ave and Conklin Ave. We at the same time also updated the parking on the east side of the Livingston Street back in 2017, where we the bus parking, the no parking zones and everything in the area of the school were updated. We left a space for a crosswalk for students to cross the street in front of the bus parking, put a crosswalk in there. We thought that there was a no parking signs that were placed in front of the crosswalk, but upon following up with that, we find that there are no crosswalks. And reviewing it again, Cindy and myself responded over there with the traffic sergeant Jasmine, and we noticed at the curb line on the west side of the street, there's 3 or 4 driveway cuts in the curb line pointing to the property that they just recently purchased, and that it's really confusing as to what all the driveway cuts are going to be serving. So probably should be reviewed by the engineer's office, and maybe we had the ADA curb cut put in there for the students to cross at the one location from either side of the street. And again, have it reposted for no parking. Temporarily saying crosswalk 10 feet on either side of the crosswalk until the new ADA curb cuts are put in. And then at that time, put permanent no parking anytime zones in there.
Dan, were we also discussing adding additional crosswalk signage?
Yes, yeah, also, that was an additional thing. The warning signs crossing ahead. Actually, it was going to be, I think, right at the location, a double-sided crosswalk with student crossing on both sides of the street to indicate the location of that. I don't think it needs the crossing ahead signs because of the it's
You'll be able to see it. I mean, it's right there, but we need
Flat.
them at the crosswalk.
at the crosswalk themselves, yes.
And we also talked about a suggestion for the school itself, if they wanted to put, when they have the children crossing back and forth to this new play area, they could put a cone out during that time in the middle of the road and then take it back in for the crosswalk.
Okay,
But I think the biggest thing it's going to be is to get the ADA curb cuts into the curb line there, just to designate the exact location of the crossing.
All right, we'll take care of it.
Can I say something?
yep, go
Can you
ahead,
guys hear-
Councilwoman.
You guys hear me? Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on behalf of constituents that reached out to me. This isn't in my district, but I know that I have been there often as my nieces go to that school as well. The concern here isn't, I mean, you know, there's the parking issue and I think that's very important, but there's also a speed issue. And what I'm hearing is that thankfully nothing has happened yet, but with all these little kids running around and the way that people park and the speed, we're looking at potentially something happening in the future. So I don't have an answer, but I feel very strongly about us looking into whatever it is that we need to do to make this a safer space for our kids. Believe me, I've been there myself, like I said, and it really becomes a very chaotic sort of a street. So I just wanted to share that. I've heard from a couple of different folks parents who have concerns, and I want to make sure that it is on the record that I too have some serious concerns regarding that street and the way that it's set up right now. Thank you.
Okay, the concern about speeding, making a one-way street, how would that address the speeding issue if there is speeding over there? It's the first thing I would ask. And the second thing is, who's determining that people are speeding over there? We don't have any reports, anything coming in from either the police department or any other city-related people that there is speeding over there.
Yeah,
Is
if I
it
could also
just-
speak to that is I don't, you know, and with all respect, I don't sit there with one of the things that measures speed, but I think that as parents, we have a pretty good sense when we see vehicles zooming down the street. And I know I'm being kind of vague right now, but you know, the reality is that there are vehicles there that are going at a much higher speed that they ought to be going. And, you know, I can't give you obviously what that number is. Additionally, I don't know that making it a one-way street would fix the problem. You might be 100% right that maybe it doesn't. I'm just suggesting that we pay a lot of attention to this street because the stakes are very high. We're talking about small children who I believe are in danger pretty much every day over there.
Okay, yeah, it is posted as 15, and you know, I guess that we, you know, I'm just talking with Sergeant Jasmine here, and I guess that we could pay a little bit more attention to it over there if the concern is about speeding. But as of this moment, speed doesn't seem to be an issue over there, although it may be. And the second part of it is, again, going back to the first question I asked, if there is speeding over there, besides enforcement, making it a one-way street won't really affect speeding if speeding is a problem over there already. Again, it's going to have to be enforcement over there instead of making it a one-way street, I guess is my response going to be.
Okay, does any board members have questions or discussion on this? Okay, so a couple of different things here that, just to summarize what Dan shared and the conversation here that I'd recommend. So the first is that we refer to engineering to review the streets for the curb cuts and the ADA upgrades over there. I think we'd refer to DPW for the addition of the no parking signs because that's already designated no parking. We just need signage over there. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not designated no parking yet. At least we'd have to go back to the notes, but being a crosswalk there, there's no parking on 10 feet on either side of the crosswalk. So
Okay.
yes, at that way there is no parking. And we're
Okay.
just going to have the signs put up there with no parking crosswalk. It won't be a no parking anytime sign, which is a permanent posting. But no parking crosswalk would supplement it.
Okay, and so in addition to that signage would be extra signage for near the crosswalk too, correct? Okay, so we'd refer those two to DPW. And then I think that I can have our office, the mayor's office, reach out to the school over there and to pass along the recommendation about the signage, the temporary signage within the crosswalk, the cone that Cindy suggested. And then the fifth thing that I'd like to do, Sergeant, is if we could just put this on the traffic division's radar as it relates to the speeding concerns, whether it's whatever you think approach is best, whether you think it's a speed trailer or just if you guys have extra time to go over there during pickup and dismissal, just to check out those speeding concerns. Since it's a 15-mile-per-hour zone over there, is that right? Okay. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions or discussion? Okay, so I think we can just, can we take a motion to do that and do those 5 things?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is 28 Riverside Drive. The property owner there is requesting approval to install a driveway between parcels. Dan, do you want to fill us in on traffic findings on this one?
Yeah, I wish we had a screen here that we could show the pictures, but I probably should have made a recommendation beforehand. But the area we're looking at is at the corner of Riverside Drive and Oak Street. The property line at that location for 28 Riverside Drive is kind of weird, I guess the best way to describe it, because it's there's no, even though it's a corner property, there's no access off of Oak Street onto the property. The only access is from Riverside Drive. The property line between 28 Riverside Drive and 30 Riverside Drive is a narrow property line running between the two houses. 28 Riverside Drive sets lower than 30 Riverside Drive. So what the request is that a driveway cut be put along the west side of the property of 28 Riverside Drive, which sets lower than 30 Riverside Drive. And so they probably have to dig out the side along the side of the house, which is probably maybe 8 or 9 feet wide, maybe 10 feet at the most. And the request is being made for a 8 by 10 foot driveway cut into that property line. Our concern is a couple. Number one is that the location of it coming onto Riverside Drive there is close to the crosswalk. The second is that the driveway cut itself, if it is put in there, they would have to put the dig into the slope of the grade of the property between 28 and 30, which might have a structural concern for the property at 30. The third thing is that if the person does put a driveway cut in there and there's no other problems with it other than the width of it, that if they had to get in and out of their vehicle, that they'd have to encroach on the property line at 30. It's like I said, a weird, I can pass the map around for everybody to see, but it's a weird setup there. And it really should, it should probably be denied just based on the fact of the location. Here's another picture of the frontage of the property. But yes, that's what our final thought was, is that maybe engineers could take a look at it and make a determination whether or not it could be done safely and without causing structural damage to the property at 30 Riverside Drive, because you'd probably have to have a slope coming between the two properties. It's kind of a weird setup they have there. But based on what we looked at, we just thought that, you know, with the location of it, with the different heights of the two properties and everything, that it be denied.
Do we have any questions or discussion?
It looks like that's a reasonable decision.
Okay. I think what,
So maybe we should put it on hold then.
yeah, I think we can put it on hold and we can refer it to engineering, maybe also planning for review. And come back to it at the next meeting. Does that work for you, Ron? If we do- okay.
Did you get a copy of their request form as well or not?
I don't remember seeing it.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll make a copy of that out for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
With the pictures. And,
Can I keep these?
yeah, you can keep those. And in fact, here, I'll pass it all around to you and that way I can make, I have it on my computer. I can
Okay.
make more copies.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Vestal Avenue at Chadwick. Crosswalk paint request at pedestrian curb cut. This came to the traffic board at the request of Councilman Joe Burns, whose district this is. Dan, can you fill us in on the traffic division's findings here?
Yes, again, this is one that probably should have been on the screen as well. I have a picture of it. On Vestal Ave, at Chadwick Road, there were two ADA cuts on the south side of Vestal Ave, one east and westbound. An additional one was added on the north side of Vestal Ave, across from the southwest corner of Vestal Ave. The problem is that it's not directly across the street from the first ADA crossing. It's more because of underground water lines. It's more almost mid-block or mid-intersection, I should say, of the intersection there. To put a crosswalk there is probably a good idea because there's a new sidewalk put in there leading to the park, down into the park area. That was the sidewalk on the north side of the street was never there before, and to connect the two would be a good idea. Would be more perfect if it was a direct 90-degree cut across the street, but it's not. So we're requesting that a crosswalk be put in, and then at each location of the crosswalk on the westbound and on the eastbound lane of Vestal Ave curb lines, the two-sided crosswalk signs be posted, alerting motorists that it is a pedestrian crosswalk there, and also put advanced warning signs, one being about 125 feet west of the intersection, the other about 175 feet west. Advanced warning signs saying crosswalk ahead, alerting motorists that the crosswalk is ahead. And I think that's pretty much it.
Also check, Megan, you had asked if, as part of the 434 Greenway, if there was any additional sidewalk planned on Vestal Ave, and there is not.
Okay,
So this will be the end of it right there.
okay. All right, do we have any discussion or questions from the board?
If somebody wants to see the photo, I can pass it around, but I'd like to have this one back because they have notes in it. So,
I saw it. Okay, so what we'd look to do, I guess, is this is to add a crosswalk and signage as summarized just now by Dan. Is there a motion?
Wait, we don't need the handicap curbs are all there.
They're
right?
already there, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, that's why the councilman reached out. The curb cuts are there.
yeah. And again, the reason that they put it like that is because it's water lines underneath the where it would normally be prescribed to to put the crosswalk.
Motion. A second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, next up is Kane Avenue, request one side of the street parking only. This also came from Councilman Burns. He was hearing from constituents concerned with the narrowness of the street there when cars are parked on both sides. Dan, could you fill us in?
Yeah, this IDC was passed around to everybody already. I don't know if you had a chance to review it or not. But basically, Kane, up on the south side, runs between Morgan Road and Woodland Ave. It's a narrow street. It's about 24 feet wide. There's parking on both sides of the street at this time. And the constituents apparently contacted the councilman in that district to alert him that there's concern, pretty much like we had at Ardsley Road, there's concern about the emergency access to that location, as well as garbage truck pickup and any other kind of truck traffic coming through that area, that it would be obstructed or slowed down if there's parking on both sides. We did respond to that location and reviewed it, the traffic division and BMPS, and we agree that based on the width of the street, the parking should probably be limited to one side of the street. In reviewing the street, there is a fire hydrant on the east side of Kane Ave, and there's also an intersecting street, Row Ave, coming on to Kane Ave on the east side of the street. If we were going to recommend it, we would recommend that if they do put no parking on the one side of the street, to be on the east side, because there seems to be more obstructions or hindrances type things on that side of the street. And but again, there's only like 5 or 6 houses on either side of the street. It's and it probably should be determined by the constituents and the councilman as to what side of the street. Again, ours is just based on the the fire hydrant and the intersecting street, as to that it be on the east side. But again, you don't want to get the residents upset at the traffic division or traffic board for making the wrong decision. So it should probably be discussed between him and his constituents.
Any questions or discussion?
Afterthought from that IDC is the grade of that road, which I guess would be up to the residents what they feel would be safer as well. I thought of this after reviewing it as far as the winter months with inclement weather, as far as if they wanted to park facing down a hill or up. There's an incline there somewhat to speak of. So just for consideration, I guess, for the council person and the residents there.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so I think what we did with Ardsley Road and what we can do this time is just pass this recommendation back to the councilman, ask him to reach out to his constituents. Make sure that they're okay with that if we post the no parking, it's on the east side of the road with the fire hydrants in mind and also the grade of the road there. We can put this on hold and come back to it at the next meeting.
Can we maybe pass it based on the council person getting back to us and just tell us what side of the street would that be cut short circuited for us?
Sure, if we're comfortable doing that, I'm okay with that.
We could do a motion that for the council person that would recommend no parking on the side. Let him come back to us.
Okay, and then pending his approval, this won't have to wait for the next meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, is there a motion?
I make motion.
Second,
Second,
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes. Next up is Susquehanna Street. This came in from the mayor. It's a review of creation of diagonal parking on Susquehanna between Washington Street and State Street on the south side.
The traffic division and BMTS again reviewed this street. It's pretty much what we have over on Conklin Ave between South Washington Street and the exit coming off from 434. We have diagonal, back and diagonal parking on that street. The mayor would like to see if we can come up with a plan to put the diagonal back and parking on the Susquehanna Street behind the arena. In reviewing the street, Conklin Ave is a wider street than Susquehanna Street. It's about 9 feet. Figure what's the 9 feet about difference?
I don't know what Conklin Ave is, but when we checked, this is only 37.
Yeah, and Conklin Ave was like 46,
It is
46 feet.
wider.
Yeah. So if we went ahead and did what the the mayor is suggesting, it's going to create a very tight passageway through there. If it's going to be a two-way street going back and forth. And so with that in mind, Cindy found out some additional information that for future construction in that area. And if you want to expound on
Yeah,
that.
I did pull out the alternatives that are in the Route 363 Gateway project. And that the one alternative was going to impact some of the parking behind the arena. The other one, just that whole area is changing as far as being signalized on State Street. So I'm not sure which alternative is actually going to be put in place in back of the arena, but that could make a difference. One of them did have additional parking. I think we probably should look at it a little bit more and really go out there. I mean, there's no problem when the street's closed, and like on a hockey game now, people tend to park at a diagonal anyway, and that works fine. But if the street is open and with the diagonal, it might be an issue because it is pretty tight back there. We were figuring with 37 feet, we put the center stripe lane. You need it at a minimum 17 feet, like a perpendicular measurement for the diagonal parking. So you have two 10-foot lanes, and then you also need the center stripe. So it's going to be close. There's not a lot of traffic back there really, but I'm not sure how well it would work. It's a two-way street. Most of it can go two-way. Right. So, I mean, there is a question too. I was thinking about, could it be a one-way street? But then the only problem with that is if you park there, and if it was one way going south, over the bridge, then no matter if you park back there, you'd be forced to go across the river and back. I know that at one time that was looked at though, that slip ramp that goes off State Street going southbound, like, and then go behind the arena, closing that off and putting parking back there too. So,
I would have concern too, or it's worthy to investigate truck traffic downtown for large truck delivery, whether it's after hours or even during business hours. They do utilize that to then reroute their trucks to go back into downtown. Now with fire headquarters closed as well, I know for years, I think this was considered prior, and the curbside parking only was the only option because of the fire apparatus coming from headquarters to service the west side.
that's what I figured.
They are still using that route. I've noticed some drivers coming from their temporary fire headquarters if they go west that
Okay, 'cause
direction.
I figured that's why that was really there. It's a service the west side.
Right.
So I think it would be awfully tight to put it back there.
At the very least, if you did have it, you would have to push it back west a good distance in order to make that intersection clear for large truck or fire apparatus there.
Just to clarify, it's parking just on one side of the street right now, right on the south side. And then it's sort of like arena parking. Is there arena parking on the
I
other
think they
side?
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what they do is during arena events, they close the street off to just the arena
Okay,
parking.
Okay.
I did find the measurement for the street back there, it's 44 feet, 6 inches on Conklin Ave. As opposed to 37
And
feet.
it kind of varies through there. We went down to engineering to check. So it's anywhere from 36 to
37,
and a
yeah.
half.
okay,
It might be difficult, I think.
sure.
to
All right.
safely do it.
Does anyone else have questions or comments on this? All right, then what I'd suggest then is, let me just take this back to the mayor. I filled him in briefly after our discussion on Tuesday, but let me give him the latest information. If we could just keep it on hold and revisit it at the next meeting, that'd be good. Thank you. Is it Goethe Street?
Goethe.
Okay. Oh, I don't
Goethe
have that
Street.
lingo yet.
We'll go to Goethe then.
Okay, Carson McKenna requests to remove the handicapped parking zone in front of that location. Dan, could you fill us in there?
Yes, the previous owner of that property, 2 Goethe Street, they sold the property. We did get a hold of both the previous owner and the present owner, and the property did change hands. The previous owner, the actual handicapped person did pass about 6 months ago, so they sold the property, and the new people are requesting that the handicap parking zone be removed.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? All right, so this is to remove the handicap parking zone in front of this property address. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, and the last one on our traffic board determinations, 21 Elm Street, we had a parking request here.
21 Elm Street, okay, apparently this has been an issue that the person that lives at 20 Elm Street, it sounds like what their complaint is that they've been parking in front of their residence at that location. There's a fire hydrant in that location, in front of that location, and you can't park on 15 feet of either side of that location. And the person requesting a handicap spot in front of that location says, well, her husband's been parking there for years without getting the ticket. So we may have to surprise her and follow up with a ticket to that location if that's happening. But her request that a handicap parking spot in front of that location be inserted has to be denied because of the fire hydrant. They do have a driveway cut that runs between her house and the house next door. However, the property line, again, a situation where the 2 houses are within just a few feet of each other. I don't know where the property line is exactly, but there is a driveway cut there. And if the 2 neighbors can work it out, to how the property driveway cut is going to be, so be it. But as far as the request for the handicap parking, be denied.
Any questions or comments on this one? Okay, so the traffic division's recommendation is to deny this request. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Under other business or discussion items here, it looks like we have 2. Did you want to give updates on these 2, Dan?
Yeah, on Collier Street, under discussion, apparently this is one of those situations, and there's going to be another one that we're going to add on here that you sent out as well. The 15-minute parking zone that used to be used for when the hotel, the bill or whatever it was called there, was there on Collier Street, was set up for check-in into that hotel. When they closed back in February 2021, the 15-minute parking zone was approved to be deleted, and kiosk parking was approved to be inserted into that zone. Apparently, the signage was never taken down and put in, so we're just going to update it there at that location, but just to make everybody aware of that, that should have been done, but it wasn't. And it's just a signage thing that we're going to update it on. And the second thing is West Middle School. Been getting complaints from the school that parents are pulling in front of the school to pick up their kids that park there, waiting for the kids to come out in a no parking zone. There's a yellow line painted along the north curb line of West Middle Ave, from Nealand Ave over to next senior moment here, Helen Street. Thank you. But there's the signs only at each end of the street. There's nothing in between. So what we're going to do is it's in the traffic code. We're just going to reinsert the additional signs for no parking, a couple of additional signs. The signs are good for 100 feet in each direction of the signs. So if we had 2 additional signs, make on either side of the sign 100 feet. So probably 2 additional signs would be more than sufficient to encompass that entire north curb line.
Is traffic board action needed for that, or that's already?
No, that's in the traffic code book
Okay.
and it's all set. There's no further action needed.
Okay,
The only thing that we have to do though, in the traffic code book, they still are calling it West Junior Ave. And we need to change that to West Middle Ave. So we do probably need a motion on that.
okay, do we have a motion for that?
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, do we have any add-ons today or any other discussion items?
Yes, one additional thing, 116 Glenwood Ave. This came through the councilman Giovanni Scaringi in regards to the new liquor store that was opened at the corner of Glenwood and Prospect Street. Back in August 12th of 2021, a 15-minute parking zone was proposed and approved on the east side of Glenwood Ave, 100 feet south of Prospect, 140 feet. We thought it was put in. Apparently it has not been. The councilman is requesting that we follow up on it. And so that we are going to be doing that.
Okay, and you'll work with DPW on that then to
Yeah,
get the
we'll
signage up?
send them a work order. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for that update. I'll let the councilman know. Okay, any other add-ons or discussion items? All right, if not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.